Hello, welcome to Pastors for Yang. I'm trying to do daily-ish videos on Andrew Yang and the campaign and our faith. I'm a pastor of a small church, and so what does that mean for me, for my congregation, for the people that I am called to? So that's the idea, and that's what we're doing. Today, I thought I would talk about Super PACs and this big news this last week that Andrew Yang has accepted some help from a Super PAC, specifically MATH PAC. And what does that mean? What does that mean for the campaign? What does that mean for him? What does that mean for politics in general? So that's the topic that I'm kind of looking at. I was going to do a sound effect about Super PACs. Scary, like it was dumb. Anyways, that's what's going on. There's a super PAC out there that wants to help Andrew Yang to get elected. So first, we'll start with the controversy. Super PAC bad. We hate Super PAC. Bad Super PAC. That's kind of the general attack. That's the idea behind a lot of the criticism. So on the Democratic Party, specifically, the idea of a PAC, a political advocacy. I'm not sure what PAC actually stands for. I should probably look that up. Let's look that up real quick. It's gonna be super cool, awesome, great video. PAC meaning Political Action Committee. Political Action Committee. All right, so this is a group of people or one person or whatever that is able to kind of outside the normal rules about how much you can give to a political party, a candidate, anything like that. They're able to kind of skirt that, be on the outside of that. They're not restricted by how much can be given, and that PAC can work on behalf of a candidate or a party, I believe. But there is not supposed to be a direct connection between the two. This is an outside organization. They have their own sort of tax structure and code and all that sort of stuff. They're outside the campaign, but they do the same sort of thing. So they can send out they can put out ads on TV. They can send out flyers. They can do all those sorts of things, right? There's not supposed to be collusion or coordination between the candidates and the PAC. Usually it happens, at least inadvertently, but that's the idea. So why are they so bad? Well, the idea here is that this is usually big money. This could be a corporation. This is a group or a millionaire or whatever that is able to have a voice disproportionate to the voice of normal Americans. That's the overall idea why that PACs are not a good thing. Now, this is a fairly recent thing as well. PACs have not been necessarily a super bad thing as far as politics. Since it's Citizens United was the thing that really started this off, and it's kind of, there's been a lot of spending, especially in 2016. There was a lot of spending by PACs, specifically on the Republican side, and so the Democrats, and especially sort of the left side of the Democratic Party, the more progressive wing, is saying this is not something that we should do. So a lot of candidates have come out against them. Joe Biden and Cory Booker are kind of specifically named that they are people who have said, yeah, this is not something that we want to do. Andrew, in one of his policies, and I'll go to there, attack dark money in politics. Corporations and the wealthy have enough advantages without being able to influence every election by putting up millions of dollars and bending the ear of every candidate and office holder. In the wake of Citizens United ruling and the lesser-known Buckley v. Vallejo decision, money has flooded our political system like never before. A handful of wealthy individuals can now raise a voice louder than millions of ordinary Americans put together. The flood of money in politics has led to increased mistrust and disenchantment with our government And rightly so, big money in politics is far more likely to support candidates who will protect the interests of the wealthy and that elect these candidates in the first place. Super PACs can attempt unlimited contributions, and disclosure requirements allow donations to be funneled through nonprofits until they can't be traced to the original source. This is dark money. Super PAC spending in federal elections more than doubled between 2010 and 2012. Swing states such as Pennsylvania, Florida, and North Carolina see the largest dark money spending, undoubtedly seeing their elections influenced by wealthy donors that have no ties to the state itself. We must return to the essence of democracy, where each person's vote is heard and treated equally. I will gladly push for a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United and return the American government to its people. We need to end super PACs, drown out their influence, and stop pretending that corporations have equal rights than people. The other policy that directly connects to this, and this is both about super PACs but also lobbyists, is the idea of democracy dollars, that each citizen should have $100 that they can give directly to a campaign that is just for that purpose. And so that will flood out all of these other monies on a scale of 8 to 1 is what's usually put forward. So he has said he wants to end these things, but on the pragmatic side, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of the chatter about, and it's compelling, that we live in a world, it's kind of the same thing we were talking about abortion, right? In the perfect world, we would not have to worry about this. There would not be any of this. However, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in this world. So how do we deal with it? PACs are a thing, right? This is kind of a part of the political electoral system as it exists right now. So when Andrew Yang becomes the president, he can change some things, right? But that doesn't mean that things are changed now. So it's kind of the ideological versus the practical argument. Ideologues will say, okay, PACs are bad. We shouldn't take any money from them so that we can be ideologically pure. There's the pragmatic side that says, hey, if you want to spend money on my campaign, okay. Now, Andrew's statement, I couldn't find it directly, but from what I heard, sounds like, fine, if they want to spend money, that's fine. I am on the record as saying that I'm going to be eliminating these sorts of things, but I'm not necessarily against them spending $1 million on my behalf. And we also have to ask who these people are. And according to Vox, let's switch over to this. The gentleman behind the super PAC of MATH PAC is actually Will Haler, who is a pretty big end person on the DNC. He was almost CEO of the DNC. He's a decent person, it sounds like, and the idea is to allow them, this is a quote right here, allow the movement behind Andrew Yang to catch up to the effects of officials who are able to transfer years of war chests to their presidential campaigns, right? He wants to help in the ways that he can, and yeah, he can help in ways that I certainly can't give $1 million to the campaign. So there you go. He would like to do that. He believes enough in Andrew Yang that he wants to do that. So that's the idea. I think it seems pretty pragmatic. It seems like a good idea in general. It's the ideology that is a problem. So again, I'm former Republican on the conservative side. I don't necessarily have this visceral reaction against a PAC. I think there are some major issues and some problems, and yeah, things need to be addressed. But I'm not reacting directly against a PAC as automatically bad. So that's kind of where I am coming from. I was thinking about this in relation to the church. So what would that analog be in the church? And the best I could come up with is a super PAC is kind of like a parachurch ministry. So a few years ago, there was a group, or there continues to be a group, but a few years ago, a group called Go Tell Ministries came to our area. And the idea behind Go Tell Ministries, and I don't remember the name he was in the guy who's in charge of it, is let's do evangelical crusades. Let's do, big events, multi-day events. Get people together, kind of like, how's my brain blanking on his name? The one who is really behind the Crusades, not the medieval Crusades. The name Crusade is a problematic one, but I have a book, Billy Graham, and the Billy Graham Crusades, going from place to place, making these huge things, bringing people to Christ, letting people hear the gospel at this special event that is unlike just going to church, that sort of thing. So a few years ago, again, this Gotel came to our community and said, hey, can we do a big evangelical crusade type thing here in this area? And so several of us churches all kind of work together. So again, it's this group that's outside of the church, our church specifically, and they are bringing in influence and outside sort of ideas. They're kind of independent of the church itself. They're certainly not Presbyterian, obviously, right? But are they doing work that is in line with what we're doing? Well, yeah, right? So our opportunity, our choice was, do we want to participate with this group and participate and seek to do some kingdom work? Maybe it'll bring some people into the church. Maybe it won't, but people will come to the living God. So that's a good thing. So we could participate with them and work with them and help them to do this thing, or we could not. We could just say, okay, we don't want to have anything to do with that. I felt personally that I wanted to be involved in this group. I wanted to be involved in this crusade. I wanted to be involved in the kingdom work that they were trying to do here in this place on behalf of the various churches in our area. Very similar sort of thing on the, okay, this is obviously the much more optimistic side of what a PAC is doing. A PAC is working, yes, outside that specific campaign, but they are working towards the same goals. How can we come alongside you and help you? Andrew Yang doesn't have a whole lot of support, right? We're still gaining support. We're not polling. We're still in the single digits. Could he say, no, I don't want your $1 million? Yeah, he could, but it'd be kind of dumb, right? Someone wants to work, and we're doing the same thing. It's like all of the volunteers and the Yang Gang and all that sort of stuff. Should he say to, there's some issues with Yang Gang on Twitter and some infighting and all that sort of stuff. Should Andrew just say, hey guys, thanks so much, but stop using the hashtag Yang Gang. Stop supporting me. I don't want your support because it's like this. Well, no, that's dumb, right? Because there's a lot of good things that are coming out of it. And there's some messiness involved in it, sure. Is there messiness involved in PACs? Yeah, there is. There are some bad actors. There are some people who are not acting in good faith. But the fact is that those people are going to work not in good faith no matter what. So if we look at, I was watching the Problem Solver Politics about this, and I didn't catch the reference, but some $150 million raised and spent by Super PACs. I believe this was in 2016 for Trump specifically. So the idea that this is going to be a completely level playing field is ridiculous. That's not the place that we live. That's not the world we live in. There is going to be Super PAC money. If it's not on the Democrat side, it's certainly going to be on the Republican side, because the Republicans don't have the sort of ideological offense to a Super PAC. And absolutely, Donald Trump there's going to be lots of Super PACs trying to work with Donald Trump, and that's going to happen, right? On the other side, since this is the news about Andrew Yang receiving this help from a Super PAC, Joe Biden has said that there's a Super PAC that's out there that is helping him. Now, Joe is in a very different place, right? in the polls, he's doing much, much better. But if you actually look at the money he has raised and spent, he's in the red. He's actually he's spending more money than he has taken in, which is not a great thing for a campaign. Andrew is quite good as far as that. Brought in a lot of money and has spent relatively small amounts of it to make sure that it is being spent at the right times for the right things. There's just news that he has hired the ad firm that was doing those great ads for Bernie Sanders. So there's going to be some great advertisement and messaging that's going out there directly from the campaign, and very sort of thematic narrative kind of things, as opposed to just like Donald Trump bad, blah blah blah, right? Which was actually Joe Biden's first commercial. But anyways, Joe has stepped back, right? He was very publicly against PACs, and now is that, well, I'm gonna have some help. So, right, there's going to be PAC money that's out there. Citizens United has not been overturned. This is the way that the game is played right now. So we can play the game, or we could not, right? So what do you think? Is this showing sort of like a failure on the Yang campaign to say, hey, it's okay that you spend $1 million on the campaign here, or is it a good idea? Hey, this is going to happen. Let's help out, right? Again, I don't think I did talk about democracy dollars, so there you go. That's kind of the answer to this. The ultimate idea is this money is either going to be flushed or is going to be flushed out. Also, let's work on reforming the system, but you have to be in that place to do that work. So, and if this is the way the game is played, this is the way the game is played. And it's kind of I don't know. I think the opposition to PACs is a little bit silly, because it's from a campaign standpoint, certainly, right? Oh, you want to spend money to help me get elected? No, please don't do that, right? I mean, that's just a dumb thing to say. Same thing with a parachurch ministry. Oh, you're trying to bring people to Christ in our community? Great. I want to participate in that. I want to have something to do with that. That's kind of the way I see it. That's not the way everybody sees it. I would definitely be interested to see your comments. What do you think about this Super PAC stuff? How does that work? Do you have a better analog for maybe the church or faith or that sort of thing? What's going on here? So, anyways, those are my thoughts on Super PAC. Not a super long video, which is good because I tend to prattle on and on. But thank you for joining me today for Pastors for Yang. Follow me on Twitter, Pastors4Y, at Pastors4Y. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and click the notification button. That'll let you know when I go live. I also try to tweet beforehand. What are the other things? Like this video, share it with someone else. Comment below. What do you think about the Super PAC thing? Share this video if you think that it's useful or helpful or that sort of thing. And yeah, have a very blessed day. Let's go ahead and finish with prayer. Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you that there are people with wealth who are wanting to help in the ways that they have the abilities to do. Lord God, we know that our election system is not perfect, just like we are not perfect, but thank you that you allow us to use the gifts and abilities that we have. Help us all to use our gifts and abilities, not only to serve your kingdom, but also to serve one another, and especially us who are really connecting with Andrew Yang as a candidate for the presidency of the United States. I pray that you would use us, use our gifts and abilities and all the resources that we have and all the things that we are able to do. Help us, sort of gird us, or not, prod us, move us forward. Help us to do those things that we need to do. Thank you for the opportunity to use the gifts and abilities that I have to do this work. Pray that you continue to be with Andrew, be with his family, and watch them and guard them in this time. Thank you, and we praise you and know that you alone are our Savior and the Lord of all. Only you are perfect. We thank you and we praise you. Amen. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. There's my messy hair, but that's okay. Thanks for joining me today, and have a very blessed day, and I will see you next time.